Welcome here to the Air Crash Investigator, and today I'm going to have a look at helicopter hard maneuvering. And the reason I'm going to talk about this is that you do not understand the ramifications of wild maneuverings on your controls in a helicopter. Well, unfortunately, this might be what it will end up like at the end of the day. First of all, just to remember, Seams, that's the product where you can get everything online. Anything that you need to write, you can actually get on there. Today we're going to talk about this helicopter, R44. This is not the accident helicopter. Please subscribe, do something, even if it'll just make me feel better. All right. The end result of a flight that should never have taken place. And I'll explain why. But you can see that it's not a pretty sight, and it is not something, unfortunately, many of these things you can't or you can't unsee. The accident history, I'm going to just mention a little bit about the accident history, what was happening there. I'll go through the story. It's easy. Pilot A, he was deciding he was flying this specific accident helicopter, and when he landed, there was an pilot B that needed a lift to his aircraft, which is in the way of the storm coming. Nobody wanted to take this pilot because all senior people said, no, we can't do that. And he said, oh, well, no, man, hop, I'll take you quickly. That's fine. That's how he got in the air there. So far, it sounds probably good, but remember that when senior people around you say not going to do that, it's probably a fair indication that if you're going to do it with just slightly over 100 hours and your hours on type is low we probably should listen. But anyway, the pilot flew very low and encountered wind shear at the river edge, and this is the edge. He was coming over the mountain. The wind was blowing up this part here. So what we are looking at is that the pilot would have experienced serious wind shear, and obviously he would have experienced flatback, and he would have not just moved the control stick forward, I think he would have slammed the stick forward. Then all of a sudden, how much? That's too much, and then slam it back. But in the meantime, and remember that your mass bumping will set in immediately, and once it started, the cutoff of the tail and thereafter the destruction, that was just a very, very quick and very natural end to the series that started here. Definitely not or survivable. At least here, somebody was standing here. They were watching the vultures, and the vultures were flying around this here. The helicopter came over that lip, and they saw the helicopter, and they said, hey, this guy was flying very low. And then all of a sudden, they saw the movements here and the pitching moments, and the next moment, the helicopter disappeared. Wow, this is serious stuff, because the one moment they were flying forward, then there was this movement, and immediately helicopter went down. Now, the only way that can happen is that there was catastrophic failures immediately, and the helicopter would immediately just accelerate towards the ground. Cannot lie, it was now falling. Very tragic. I'm saying here that hard maneuvering is a taught skill. Look, when we fly game capturing, or we do crop spraying, and we do game counting, certain other flights there would be a higher maneuverability required and power management and stuff like this. This is not part of this picture, or it shouldn't be part of this picture. And at the bottom here, just a very, very stark reminder, I say there, the capability of flying in adverse weather conditions need never to be discovered by chance. Because inevitably, it's going to be the last chance. It doesn't make sense. So we have to learn to be able to live. I just brought this picture so that we can have a look at it and say, understand it a little bit more. I've just said here the wind is blowing up the mountain quite strongly. The helicopter coming in very low to the tip here. And I don't think the pilot knew mountain flying at all, but so he didn't seriously expect quite a bit of a wind shear in this area. So he got there through the turbulent area here, and the next with a very strong upwind. I think there would have been a flat back, and as the nose started pitching, he probably banged the stick forward. And from the moment that the nose went down, the nose never actually got up, because even if he slammed it back, it would have just cut off the tail. And it really didn't matter anymore, because it was proven afterwards that there was mast bumping. So whenever it was set in and however, but the end result of mast bumping is normally the helicopter destroys itself in the air. The tail will go and then the blades will go anywhere. And it'll go through the canopy as well. So there was serious lack of anticipation and understanding what was in the future. I just said here, heat up, flat back increases, pilot compensate. There was then a possibility, and that's probably where the mast bumping started, and then the gorge being very narrow, or the pilot would have seen immediately that, whoa, that attitude now is not working. It is also possible that at that stage when when it pushed down, that the flatback and the blades already cut off the tail, and there weren't a secondary part to that. As I could have suggested, even if we break it down further, the initial action of just over-controlling in a helicopter is one of the most dangerous things that you can do. So remember, I always say to the people, when you make a mistake, you don't have to force that mistake into correctness at the flap of your fingertip or that. Ease it back into control. Don't fight it back into control. Because that actually means normally that we are losing control. Lessons. First of all, I say, man, listen, stay in your lane. That must be, in line with your experience. Is that a harsh thing? No, it isn't. Please. If angels fear to tread, and I'm not saying that experienced pilots are angels, then why would you go and tread there? Because you're the inexperienced. Flying very low is not a feat. Your 15 seconds of fame at low level is enough. But flying all the time at low level, really, that's trying to push a factor that is not so. Oh, but the wind was really strong, and the lower I fly, the less the wind effect was there. Come on, guys, you've really got to be so low. Because the wind factor on top of that mountain, the fact that you flew low, wouldn't really have done anything, except you put yourself closer to turbulence and all that kind of stuff. No. Again, if that was the argument, remember, sorry, you don't know what you're talking about. Wind is a killer, okay? Mountainous areas and wind in the mountainous areas. You know what? If you would go back to that area, remember where he got over the mountain, there was that sort of cliff that was in between there. So the wind goes up there. The wind is accelerating. That's like a funnel effect. That's there. All of a sudden, there would have been an increase in wind speed through that funneling effect, exactly where he came over. Yes, that's the unlucky part. That's the reality, though. Okay. Never react with hard control inputs. Mistakes must be fixed in the control panel. Whipping the stick back will cut the tail off. I was brought up with that wind. Boy, you can't do that. You're going to get rid of your tail. But now, if you're flying, just think of it. And the aircraft experiences the wind. The blades are going to flap back. It means the body is here and the blades are already sitting like that. Eventually, the blades and the body is going to meet, because that's outside the normal norms and standards. Right, then have the knowledge about the wind. Different advice. Flying inside the city is probably, yes, I say flying inside a city is more challenging than anything else. Really, that is where the wind twirls, swirls, do all sorts of funny things, and the people wonder, oh, that is so thrilled, I'm flying amongst the buildings. I've been there as well, but I can tell you that is more dangerous than anything that you can think, because if there is wind, I'm not talking about calm conditions. Anybody can fly in calm conditions. You will never be tested when everything goes well and smooth. Your test will always be when there's adversity. Never let your ego outperform what you are competent to do. What I mean by that is that that's just an insult that I've held there. But it's an insult so that the rest of us can learn. Listen, stay in your lane. You cannot with a 100-hour act like a 20,000-hour pilot. You cannot do that. If you think that you're capable like that, then there is something seriously wrong with you. And that's why I just bring the ego part out and to say what I believe I can do and what I should be able to do. If those things are not in balance anymore, we're in trouble. Well, all that I can say is, try and stay safe.